and a really sensitive issue that there's no way to really sugarcoat it. But multiculturalism, why did it fail? Well, I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. The first thing is that with multiculturalism, it promotes diversity, which, like communism on paper, sounds really good. Everybody's equal, everybody's free, everybody's can practice their religions, everybody can, gets an equal say. But it doesn't work out like that in actual practice. Multiculturalism, to me, the biggest fail of it is the fact that it segregates people. Why? Well, it starts out like this, okay? You got Mr. Green, Mr. Purple, Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink, and Mr. Gray. Okay? Mr. Pink has to pay more taxes than Mr. Gray because of social status or whatever. So that's segregation right there. Mr. Green gets his own school, and his people get to go to his own school because of his nationality. Okay, Mr. Orange, okay, gets entitlements because of where he was born or when he was, history. Okay, and now Mr. Pink has to pay for it all, and Mr. Pink is told to be more tolerant. Now Mr. Blue comes along and says, you know what? You people are too stupid to figure it out for yourselves, so we'll rule you. We'll tell you exactly what you're allowed to do and not allowed to do. Then, including what is considered free speech, what's considered hate speech, which hate speech, unfortunately, is a part of free speech. And if you try to stifle it, it just usually makes matters worse. But that's the problem with political correctness, is it hides honesty rather than open up a dialogue. It just makes people build up into, and then... Now, Mr. Red comes along, can't speak the language, doesn't understand the culture, and is promised that he's going to get a job, he's going to get this, welcome to the new land. And then when he gets here, he has all these problems because he can't fit in, stuff like that. Well, then he blames everybody else. And this is what each one of these colors will do, is so they will blame each other. Now, Mr. Purple, okay, gets... preference over the jobs because of work equity, or affirmative action, as you'll call it in the States, because of their gender. Okay, which trumps Mr. Pink all the time. So then and then they wonder why Mr. Pink gets mad all the time. So and they tell Mr. Pink, don't you get mad, just be more tolerant. So you can see how it's not working. But that's the whole point. So maybe you've understood. Maybe I explained it well. Maybe I didn't. But I'd rather use colors than actual people. Now, myself, my own experience is, yes, I found out about work equity here in Canada by applying at the post office. And I remember the day I went in, and I mean, it's not the first time I've not gotten a job because of the color of my skin and my gender. What happened was I went in, and I was a young man, and just, out of school, whatever, looking for a job. And I go and I apply, and the lady kind of... chuckles. She's like, well, sorry, sir, but you can fill out the application if you want, but you don't hold your breath. And I said, what for? She goes, well, all I'll say is work equity. I'm like, what the hell is that? She goes, well, we're not hiring your color or your gender right now. We've got a quota to fill. So, I mean, the lady, she's just doing her job. What can she do? But she explained it to me what it was, and I was like, what? How the hell is that equal? So I said, somebody with less qualifications than me is going to get a job over me because of their color of their skin and their gender? She goes, yep. I said, how the hell is that fair? That's multiculturalism for you. And it's a spin-off of it. So, when you look at it from that point of view, just to tell me to be more tolerant, well, okay, I am a very tolerant person to begin with, but not everybody is. That builds resentment. Why? Because multiculturalism was about bringing equality to everybody. The problem is we're not all equal. We're different. And the idea was, okay, diversity to celebrate differences. Okay, I understand the ideology behind it, but it can't work. Why? Because there's no unity. That's why you need, for example, I'm a proud Canadian. I'm Native Irish, French, make tonto blah. And I don't know what part of me I'm supposed to be more proud of. But, I am who I am. And that's okay. And I know where my culture comes from, and no laws or rules or regulations are going to, make my family history disappear, nor me feel any less important. But on the other hand, it's the idea of that somebody else gets precedence over it, and then they start getting entitled, where you owe me this, you owe me that, and you failed me. So everybody ends up losing. So when you take a work requirement and lower it for standards of one, all you do is just lower the quality of the work. You don't actually bring the people up to the level. So they get put into a position where they can't make the grade, and then they end up feeling bad about it because they can't make the grade, and then who do they blame? Well, they blame everybody else, but really it's the multiculturalism. For example, if I were to go to China, I would not go there and say, okay, you have to speak my language, and you have to cater to me, and you have to lower the working standards so I can fit in. I would not do that. I would set it up a different way, saying, okay, well, here, welcome to Canada, or China, or wherever you're going to go. Country doesn't matter. I say when in Rome, do as the Romans. But that's the point. You would have it set up so that people could strive to become a part of that unity, that country. Insert country's name here. That will work. Multiculturalism can't work. There's too many differences. Differences is division. Diversity is division. And so is multiculturalism. I mean, for every culture to have its own set of rules is an impossible idea, to have them all agree, because they don't agree. On a lot of things they don't agree. So for me, multiculturalism have failed. And the problem with Canada is that we're too politically correct to say what the identity of the country is. So what is the identity? Well, if we just go with the majority, it's white Anglophone Christians. If we go with the next, it'd probably Francophone Caucasian Christians. You know what I mean? That's the backbone of the country. Now we've got, you name the culture, it's here. But the point is this: if we go with the majority rules, that would become the dominant. That's what people would have to strive to become. Would that mean, okay, your culture is going to disappear and we're stepping on your culture? No, what that's saying is this is what Canada is and stuff like that. Now, but that's racist. Well, let's say Spanish was the predominant culture in Canada. Well, then that's what we would strive to. The thing is the majority is usually silent in Canada. And majority sometimes doesn't vote, but most people are right-wing. Not extreme right-wing, centered. Most people here in Canada are still pretty centered, which is good. But the more you push multiculturalism, the more you put that novel idea on paper, but it cannot work in real life. It just can't. So, because, again, the simple answer is that multiculturalism it's segregation, is what it is. It's everybody's has a different set of rules. You can't expect people to get along with that. And different cultures and customs, you need to bring them on a commonality. So you need to pick an actual identity of your country, and which would be majority rules anyway. So hopefully I made my point. Tell me what you think. Again, and I'm not anti-immigration or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, when in Rome, do as the Romans. If you come to Canada or insert country here, you go there, you come here, doesn't matter. You go with the majority of what the culture is, then people have something to strive for. And if they find that your country is too offensive for them to live in, well, perhaps this wouldn't be the country for them. But if you put it out there like that, then before they even come here and get disappointed themselves, they would, they'd save themselves a lot of headaches. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, yeah, I'll leave it at that, and tell me what you think. Okay, I'm going to try to tread as lightly on this one as I can, but it's such a hot topic and such a really sensitive issue that there's no way to really sugarcoat it. But multiculturalism, why did it fail? Well, I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. The first thing is that with multiculturalism, it promotes diversity, which, like communism on paper, sounds really good. Everybody's equal, everybody's free, everybody's can practice their religions, everybody gets an equal say. But it doesn't work out like that in actual practice. Multiculturalism, to me, the biggest fail of it is the fact that it segregates people. Why? Well, it starts out like this, okay? You got Mr. Green, Mr. Purple, Mr. Orange, Mr. Pink, and Mr. Gray. Okay? Mr. Pink has to pay more taxes than Mr. Gray because of social status or whatever. So that's segregation right there. Mr. Green gets his own school, and his people get to go to his own school because of his nationality. Mr. Orange, gets entitlements because of where he was born.